What?
Yeah, the defense challenged the notion that your office wasn't going to plan to try juveniles as adults in their argument today. Any reaction to that, and as it pertains to this case in particular?
Well, I mean, you all saw the video. You showed it to the community, the masses. What Mrs. Fricke went through, no human being should ever go through. I think the defense argued that there was no gun. A gun would have been more humane. You heard what happened. We couldn't show all the pictures. Matt was very clear that he was not going to traumatize this jury. I mean, this family will never be the same. This jury will never be the same because of the images that will be seared in their minds forever. And every stomp, every kick, every punch, every macing, every yard of the 2 football fields he drove was a choice. And his jury was very clear. They came back pretty quickly. Defense tried a lot of things. Asked him for 3 years, test DNA on a case we could all see in living color and high definition. And I thank God for Matt Durbis, my chief, the homicide unit, who stayed the course and made sure that we got a trial date this year and deliver justice. You heard him say in his closing argument, there's no winners and losers at Tulane and Bar. That's at the Superdome. It's no competition. What happened today is not going to bring Miss Linda back. This city's never going to be the same after witnessing what happened to one of our elders. And I turn it over to Matt to answer the other questions.
Are you hoping, they asked the Fricke family, are you hoping this sends a message to juveniles looking to commit these types of crimes?
I think all of us on some level, before we decide to do anything good or bad, the hope is that we consider the consequences of that. And one of the things I had told the jury and argued was, severe decisions that have severe consequences to his family and to Ms. Fricke need to have severe consequences in this building. There has to be severe punishment for severe crimes. And if one person out there thinks about those consequences before they do something horrific like this, then we have saved a life. And the idea that there are no consequences for your behavior, like Mr. Boggs had posited to some degree in front of that jury, is a dangerous concept. I think it's important that there are consequences, and hopefully that this message gets out to everybody, not just juveniles, to adults, that if you commit violent crimes in this city, there will be consequences in that building. There will be punishment waiting for you in this building when we prosecute you.
Will any of the teens, I know the 3 female teens are eligible for parole after, correct me if I'm wrong, 15 years, and Honore's 1 teen, 5 years. If they take classes or any courses while they're in custody, would that apply before the parole date or after the parole date?
So with respect to Honore, I think it's pretty set with respect to the females who pled guilty last week. With respect to Honore, the legislature in 2017 used to be, you could get life without parole. And when they did the criminal justice reform in 2017, they said, look, because he's under 18, he's already been given a benefit. It's not life without parole. It's life with eligibility for parole at 25 years. And it's not just 25 years. One of the things I mentioned to the jury is, they have taken steps to make sure before you are eligible at 25 years, you have to meet certain criteria before you're eligible, so that we're not just putting somebody back on the streets with no tools, with no education, with nothing to prevent them from doing it again. So I think there's a level of punishment. There's a level of protection with having him behind bars for at least 25 years. Then hopefully there's a level of rehabilitation in there if and when he is released.
So can he or any of the females get out before that parole date under the law? So he has to serve a minimum.
He would have to serve a minimum of 25 years.
And same for the females.
Females, it's different because they get convicted in the second degree murder. So he would be a 75%, 50.
But basically they would have to serve 15 essentially.
To make one point really clear, this came up during the trial. The juvenile justice system is simply not set up to handle a crime this horrific. 3 years in jail would simply have not been enough accountability. It would not have been enough time for him to learn better than he learned in his young life. And it certainly wouldn't have been fair to this family. It certainly would have been fair to Mrs. Fricky. And, you know, we've got to be very clear about the system that's set up. Rolling out at age 21 for the crime that you all saw in high definition was simply, that wouldn't be justice. It wouldn't be humane. And it was necessary this case be tried here.
Message to any teen in New Orleans that might be thinking of doing anything illegal.
Look, I mean, let's be clear, Aubrey. I mean, obviously we don't want any kids committing any crimes. But we have a truancy problem here in the city of New Orleans. We had a truancy problem before COVID-19. And after we had all these kids at home supposedly learning virtually, you've got some elementary schools as well as high schools that are close to a 50% in-person attendance rate. If those kids are not in seats in schools, they're in the streets. And we've got to address that problem front end. That's crime prevention. And we need a citywide, statewide program dealing with it so that we don't have other instances like this happening. And I know this family is going to stay engaged with us to figure out solutions because they have been through the worst that the system and the world can offer a family.
I think,